in Ghana during our elections. And for those of us who are aware, in the next 2 months, we are about to get to the polls and then make a decision. So as part of Juggles Ghana's agenda, we sought to host this peace summit to help to bring this conversation to light and also source experts for them to come and give us the education that we need for us to have not only free and fair, but a well stable elections in the next 2 months. So we welcome you all. Thank you so much for being on the call. We really appreciate you honoring our invitation. And as a welcome and an opening remarks, we are going to have a word from Ms. Vida Osei-Agyeman, who happens to be the Juggles Ghana campus coordinator in the country. So without wasting much time, I would invite Ms. Vida Osei-Agyeman to give us the welcome address. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Kwesi. And welcome once again to every one of us here on the call. It's good to see you all. It's a great privilege to welcome you all to today's virtual summit on the theme Fostering Dialogue and Understanding to Build Lasting Peace in Ghana during elections. As we approach election 2024 come December 7th, amidst growing political tensions that has a tendency to outshine the progress made and the successes chalked in the past, there is the need for us as stakeholders to come together to promote a dialogue that contributes to the peace process in Ghana. Democracy can only be meaningful when citizens are able to engage in free and fair elections where their views and voices are heard and their choices are respected. This is only when we can trust that our society is being built on justice, harmony, and equality. We as Juggles are therefore gathered here today, together with you as esteemed stakeholders in the development of our country, to contribute to the peace process in the country. We seek to promote a process where voices are heard, where principles of nonviolence, inclusivity, and respect for human rights are strongly upheld. As we go into our breakout rooms, let us all work together to contribute to ways that will enhance a peaceful and transparent election process. Let us remember the importance of creating an environment where diverse opinions can be expressed without fear of reprisal, and an environment where conflict is resolved through dialogue rather than violence. I urge us all to engage in healthy discussions, to listen and respect to the diverse perspective that will be shared with an open mind. Let us all endeavor to finding common grounds for peace, for the betterment of our country. Together, let us strive to build a future built on unity, peace, cooperation, and respect for human rights that will impact on generations to come. Long live democracy in Ghana, long live Juggles, long live Ghana, and thank you all. And may the good Lord bless us all.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, our coordinator. God bless you so much. So once again, thank you everybody for being on the call. So on our schedule, we are going to have our next speaker to give us the keynote speech for the main event itself. And we are so much delighted and we are so much happy to have such dignitaries in our midst and to also learn from such individuals. And honestly, when I saw Doctor's profile, I was just amazed. And so the individual that we have to be our keynote speaker has served in ministry for several years, and he has so much experience when it comes to ministering the gospel of Jesus Christ. He's a gifted individual. He has been a transformational preacher, and most of his biblical teachings people have taken up to live their individual lives. He had his secondary education at West Africa Secondary School in Accra and Infantipim School in Cape Coast. He proceeded to KNUST as Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, where he graduated with BSc honors in building technology. And he holds a diploma in ministry from Trinity Theological Seminary in Accra, and a diploma in theology from the University of Ghana. He also possessed Master of Divinity from Eastern University, Philadelphia, in the United States of America, and a doctor in ministry from the same university. Our guest was awarded a Doctor of Divinity honorary from Adonai International Christian University in the United States of America. And in terms of his ministry and work experiences, our guest served as the GAFES Missions Counselor on the three major universities in Ghana, namely the University of Ghana, Legon, Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, and the University of Cape Coast for 4 consecutive years from 1986 through to 1989. He was ordained into the pastoral ministry by the Ghana Baptist Convention in 1997. And from 2021 to 2028, our guest served as the sector head of West Africa Ghana sector of the Ghana Baptist Convention. He has held various pastoral and leadership positions in several churches in Ghana and in the United States of America. He is a certified professional chaplain with extensive clinical pastoral education training and a member of the Association of Professional Chaplains, APC, in the United States of America. His passion for ministry and interest in imparting theological knowledge in people earned him an opportunity to serve as the first vice chairman of the board of directors, as well as the vice president of convention affairs of Adonai International Ministerial Fellowship Alliance, AIMFA, in California, the United States of America. Our guest is the founder and currently the president of Adonai Theological College in Ghana. And before entering into full ministry, our guest was an assistant quantity surveyor with Architectural Engineering Services Corporation, AICS, in Accra. He was once executive director of Gold Line East Developers Limited in Greater Accra. And we have in our midst, and with your best reactions from your platform, kindly let's welcome Reverend Dr. Isaac Mills-Owoh to give us the keynote speech for the Juggles Peace Summit that we are hosting currently. Thank you so much for being in our midst, Reverend Dr. Isaac Mills-Owoh. I yield the mic to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. And I'm very grateful for this extensive introduction. And I thank you all for the opportunity and also the opportunity to be included in such a high-profile forum for the Juggle. I heard about Juggle a couple of years ago through a colleague, and never knew that there would be an opportunity to get onto a platform like this. So I'm really grateful. Now, moving to the topic so that we can finish and have discussions. I don't see myself as an expert, but I'm just going to give my mind and my feeling and what I've observed through the years. Ensuring peaceful elections in Ghana, lessons learned and strategies for success. Reminiscing the past. Thankfully, the past 8 consecutive presidential and parliamentary elections resulted in peaceful handovers with minimum and isolated incidents of violence. And I remember, according to Asante and Osei Afo in 2021, and I quote, this is what they said. Said most previously held elections since 1992 were generally assessed to be free, fair, and peaceful. Electoral competition, particularly among the 2 leading political parties, that's the National Democratic Congress NDC, and the National Patriotic Party, NPP, is keen, with both parties having roughly equal chances of winning elections. This keen electoral competition has produced 3 electoral turnovers, with the 2 main parties alternating power since 1992. A prevailing vibrant media space and an active civil society environment continue to support the electoral process. Peaceful transfer of power since the year 2001 has been the feather in the country's cap, and we are grateful for that. Allow me also to reiterate that several institutions such as the West African Network for Peace Building, WANEP, and other civil society organizations have played various roles in peaceful elections in Ghana. For example, and I quote, "To thwart election-related conflicts and vigilantism and implement interventions at the national and local level, WANEP played a direct role in collaborating with other CSOs, civil society organizations, in the development of a roadmap and code of conduct in order to eradicate political violence, vigilante activities in the nation." In 2000, the year 2000, Ghana Center for Democratic Development, CDD Ghana, established the Coalition of Domestic Election Observers, CODEO, which is a non-partisan organization comprising a network of CSOs ranging from professional to faith-based organizations working together to observe elections in Ghana, CODEO 2016. With a focus of preventing electoral violence, CODEO aims to work with Ghana's Electoral Commission to help ensure that elections are peaceful, transparent, and credible. I also observed, reminiscing, that apart from the 1992 and 1996 general elections, CODEO has observed all elections in Ghana since 2000. With its principle of impartiality, CODEO operates through 42 faith-based CSOs and professional associations to prevent electoral fraud and violence and to enhance the credibility and acceptability of electoral results in Ghana. This was from Badasu 2018. Now, it is worth noting that the 2021 Global Peace Index ranks Ghana as the 38th most peaceful country in the world and the 2nd most peaceful nation in the sub-Saharan Africa. The 2021 ranking I just quoted is an improvement from Ghana's 2019 GPI ranking, where Ghana was ranked 44. So Ghana moved from 44th to 38th as the most peaceful country in the world, and from the 4th most peaceful nation in the Sub-Saharan Africa now has been classified or rated as the 2nd most peaceful nation. Now, since the inception of the 4th Republic in 1992, we've observed that Ghana has held 8 successful elections: 92, 96, 2000, 2004, 2008, 12, 16, and 2020. The relative peaceful conduct of these successive elections has made Ghana a beacon of hope for democracy, good governance, peace, and stability in Africa. ISIFU 2017. Permit me to state categorically that the organization that should be most concerned about promotion of peace during elections are religious and chieftaincy institutions in Ghana. If leaders of all such organizations will eschew open partisan affiliations and drum home the need to respect brotherliness and value life for even one's enemy, political violence will be next to nothing in Ghana and many countries. Unfortunately, given the fact that there are conflicts within even churches, religious institutions, and among chiefs and other communities, it makes it difficult to want to fall on these to ensure peace in the nation. However, these are vital institutions that cannot be ignored when it comes to ensuring adequate dissemination of such relevant information as the need to ensure peace in our land. Rather than proclaiming one political party, that's my view, as God ordained to win any elections, I believe religious organizations and other opinion leaders should be concerned about maintaining the peace and unity of society and respect the fact that individuals have the right to make informed decisions without coercion. Any propaganda, therefore, to promote the interests of one party against the other within the society by a religious leader or opinion leaders such as chiefs, who sometimes are motivated by some promises made or financial or material favors received from any party, shows gross irresponsibility on their part. The Media Foundation for West Africa, MFWA, stated in their report before the 2020 elections that the perpetrators of electoral violence have largely been individuals, interest groups, political party affiliations, and security agencies. Sadly, according to the report, security agencies constituted the highest perpetrators, that is about 46%, followed by political party affiliates, 23%, individuals, 20%, and organized groups, 11%. All such valuable research documents and their recommendations, I believe, should be adequately compiled and used for continuous education of the general public and as relevant materials for academic institutions right from the elementary or junior high school to the university level. This will help us to build a better relationship in the future. So all these records are there, all these findings are there, but very little is done by using them as education materials for the populace. Now, let me just say strategies that I've observed and I think should help us succeed in having a peaceful election or ensuring a peaceful election in Ghana. Number one, prevention and education. All concerned citizens should focus on prevention and education and not wait till conflicts have erupted and escalated before solutions are sought. It's been suggested by various findings that long-term civic education stands out as the most effective means of preventing political conflicts and ensuring peaceful societies. In this light, state actors hold the key to peaceful elections as they have basic responsibility to maintain security and election management. Number two, tolerance for views of opponents. All political parties should show some willingness to listen to the other's views. Flag bearers must be brought into several fora to discuss strategies to ensure peaceful elections and how to demotivate party members from reacting to dissenting views. Before and even after elections, leaders should avoid the mentality that any suggestions from the opposing party is unacceptable. Such attitudes have been the root cause of conflicts even among parliamentarians. Elsewhere, renowned leaders have used uncouth languages to describe their opponents. While it is perfectly normal in democratic settings for the political parties to freely criticize the performance of the incumbent, but they should not warrant insulting language that have the potential to create mayhem. And of course, not in Ghana. Number 3 that I'll suggest or propose is the National Peace Council. I see the National Peace Council as a similar institution that is in the United States, which is the United States Institute of Peace, funded by the Congress. I believe that the National Peace Council should be totally non-partisan. The members should have been constituted with the consent of all major parties and not just the ruling government. Members should also be given strict admonition not to be partisan in all deliberations. Any evidence of partiality or political biasness should disqualify any member from continuing to serve on such a council. It is only when they remain, or members of the National Peace Council remain non-partisan, that they can work with local partners to prevent, mitigate, and resolve any conflicts in future. Number 4, support and sustenance of election peace organizations. Support and sustenance of election peace organizations should jointly be financed by major political parties, not just one party or the ruling government. It is said that he who pays the piper calls the tune. Considering the hard economic situations people find themselves in, these various agencies, chiefs, and religious leaders should not be put in situations that will make them seek financial and material favors from political parties, as doing so will make them biased in one way or the other. Individuals in these organizations must have the integrity and freedom to point out errors and any evidence of bad governance and practices without fear or intimidation. Number 5, willingness to listen and adhere to constructive criticisms. I wish to say that incumbent party and governmental institutions should be prepared and willing to adhere to any suggestions and requests from opposition parties just to ensure fairness and avoidance of doubt. For instance, why should it be difficult to display the voting register? Is this something we need to fight over? The need for good cooperation to manage the electoral processes by all the parties should be fostered. It should be something to easily carried out by everybody just to ensure fairness and avoid any doubt. So there should be willingness to listen and adhere to constructive criticisms from the other side. 6, frequent collaborations and public discussions with concerned institutions, groups, organizations should be facilitated by the National Commission for Civic Education, NCCE. Frequent collaborations and public discussions with concerned institutions has to be facilitated by the NCCE, the National Commission for Civic Education. This should include the media political party representatives, civil society organizations, chiefs and heads of religious organizations. Of major concern should be chiefs and religious leaders who must also resist the temptation to favor any political party, whether by clan, by language, by tribe, or whatever. It is such collaborations and public discussions, such collaborations, which is facilitated by the NCCE, and the public discussions should be ongoing before and even after elections, just to ensure that there is good understanding of our togetherness in this nation, irrespective of our party affiliations. Then 7 out of my 10 points. The role of the media. We all know the media should be allowed to give a fair coverage to all political party activities. It should be permitted to do. Any political party should allow the media entrance. State-owned media avenues should ensure equal and fair coverage of all parties. The media must also be encouraged to avoid sensationalizing issues and learn to take concerns with the appropriate courtesy. I've realized sensational reporting is often done for 2 reasons. For fear that the news will be killed by the ruling party, so I've got to do it quickly without checking in with anybody. And secondly, the desire to gain fame for being the first to break the news. And so they don't check the sources. And they have to be quick and send things out. Well, we should understand that such election era is also a major source of financial gains for media houses and individual reporters. That's granted. And this explains the bias in reporting sometimes, unwillingness and unpreparedness to ensure truthful and honest reporting. However, the social media should remember that sensational and false news reporting have the tendency of causing fear and panic within the society. And such unsavory and unprofessional behaviors should not be tolerated before, during, and even after elections in Ghana. There should be the need for the Electoral Commission, the EC, and all concerned security services to seriously monitor social media and put out corrective statements and measures to kill any sensationalism as soon as they appear. This must be done without fear or foe. Number 8, let me say that prioritize support of state-led prevention and election security. State funds or international support should be made available for training and monitoring. If properly resourced, then with these organizations, appropriate discipline will be meted out to any force personnel seen to misbehave in any area of the electorate. So we should see it as a priority, the funding of security agencies, election security agencies, and any other state-led prevention agency that need to help in preventing chaos in our land. Let me take the last 2 points that I have here. Now, flag bearers, I'm talking about flag bearers of the various political parties, should openly advocate tolerance on all platforms. Flag bearers to openly advocate tolerance on all platforms. Flag bearers of all political parties should be made to agree to include strong messages of tolerance for opponents and stress the need to avoid any form of violence on campaign platforms. This should be monitored by the NCC. Saying flag bearers should be called to order when they fail to promote such at any single moment. Additionally, flag bearers should desist from inciting ethnic tribal appeals and fear-mongering among voters. Threats like "all die be die," "will match them boot for boot," etc., should have no room in Ghanaian politics. It may be going on elsewhere, but the loving community of Ghana, should have no such thing going on. Such threats and such inciting statements must be forbidden. A National Security Task Force, which brings together the police and other security agencies, must be authorized to act on any such insightful speeches on political platforms. Finally, but not the least, I wish to say that we need to have transparent electoral processes. The public should have no reason to believe that something shady or manipulation is going on at the Electoral Commission. Not at any point. Everything must be done to avoid this. For the public to believe or think that something shady or some form of manipulation is going on at the Electoral Commission, this shouldn't happen. So the ruling government must ensure the independence of the Electoral Commission to implement secure and transparent voting procedures, and alongside be able to provide regular updates on the electoral processes through diverse media channels to the public. This will ensure peace in Ghana. Let me conclude by saying that Ghana's elections should be organized with such high credibility on all fronts that there wouldn't be the need for external observers to convince the Ghanaian community and the world that elections have been credible or otherwise. As recommended by the United States, the capacity of CSOs, civil society organizations involved in election monitoring and observation, should be enhanced, and their efforts toward promoting transparent and credible elections fully supported. And that all states, countries, should reduce their dependence on international observers and rather strengthen continental and regional efforts in the monitoring and observation of elections. The land will not need this if we take pains to do what we have to do. This will be my conclusion to this topic, and have some references, but I don't need to read that. So, convener, I yield to you for any possible discussions or questions. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Reverend Doctor. It's been amazing 30 minutes. We are so blessed with such wisdom and experience, backed with so much research to support what you have given us. And honestly, from some of the points that I was able to put down, those of us who are in strategic leadership, we can literally go down and educate people, and also make sure that wherever we have influence, we make sure people understand these points. And these are just amazing amazing education that we have had this afternoon. So please kindly go to your reaction points, and then let's give Reverend Dr. Isaac Mills Owu a reaction. Honestly, he has done an amazing job, and we really appreciate such wisdom. So we are going to have a 10-minute question and answer session. So if you are on the platform and you have a question, you can give us a hands up, and then we would unmute your mic for you to ask. If you can't do so and you wish to put it in the comment section, we would also appreciate it and read it to Reverend Doctor to respond to us. So kindly let's know from the audience. Okay, so Selassie, kindly unmute yourself, and please let's go ahead. So
thank you so much, Reverend. Really appreciate your presentation. You spoke really well, and you touched on critical points. My two questions have to do with one, some of the recommendations you made regarding flag bearers be called to order. My question would be, who is going to be responsible for calling them to order? And the other one is the role of the media. We are in a very sensitive environment where anytime the media regulators want to enforce some regulations or put things into order, you find the media community crying foul. That's the politicians want to heckle the media. They want to stifle media freedom and all that. How can this be done such that the regulators can still enforce the ethics and the regulations and not make the media community feel that their freedom is being trampled upon? These are the two things that I want you to address for us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And I appreciate the questions. Who calls to order? We have institutions. We have people who are supposed to maintain election security. That's why I'm saying that we must prioritize their support of this state-led organization or society securities, and so that they can do their work. Must give it a priority of their support so that you have what they need to follow these things. And then there are other organizations that the NCC monitor or try to bring other advocates of peacefulness into our land, also must be encouraged. But then if these people, their ears are always on the ground, they are listening to it. And especially the security agencies, the police, and the military, and any paras, whatever it is, must be able to bring this out. And that's why I put the blame, I put the responsibility on the ruling government. Shouldn't sit down because you are a ruling government and you are also campaigning, all right, to allow some of these things to pass by. That is not being fair to the people of the nation. Any such thing that is reported must give authority and the right for people to get in and put things right. Or they should go online and bring out statements to correct any false thing that are going on. So we have our security people. It's not going to be done by individuals because that will create mayhem. And I believe that this is where we need to go. And if we don't do that, then it allows other people to come in, and then it creates confusion to all of us. So who calls to order? It's the responsibility of the nation, and then to allow the security agents to operate. And security agents should not be partisan. They should be able to move in and think about the peace of the land. That's why I was also suggesting that flag bearers must be brought together in a forum where they can mutually discuss what are we going to do to ensure that we don't bring chaos into our land. They should not only stay their private places and think about how to come to power. But if you don't come to power and the land is full of chaos, it doesn't help anybody. So I believe that they should bring them together so that they can agree on the thing that can be done and cannot be done. In certain language, insightful languages and etc. should not. So if we agree, then they can also preach that, I'm using the word preach because of the work I do, but they tell people what needs to be done. Well, if our political flag bearers are all propagating such peaceful ideas, I believe that Ghana being a peaceful country, followers will really agree. Okay, now the issue about the media, it's a dicey thing, but I still believe that the media, that is also part of the agreement of the flag bearers. If as long as somebody shows up as a media organization, they have a job, they have a law backing the way they do things. So they should be allowed to work instead of trying to say that. But you see, what happens is that they know, I mean, we know what goes on, but some media houses have been bought by other political parties. And so they are allowed to cover some areas, and other media groups, when they are coming in, it becomes a wahala. So I think that there must be that freedom of association, and also the people must be able to go anywhere, allow them, I mean, to do their work, and instead of stifling the media, and media also taking the responsibility to ensure that everything they put out is not false, but it has been verified. I believe that other people too may contribute to this if I have not said everything that needs to be said. So I'll end here so that other people too can chip in.
All right, thank you, Reverend, so much. I will quickly take the last question from Ernest Owusu, and then Ernest Osei Trinibua, please.
Okay.
Kindly go ahead quickly so that we can.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kwesi and Doc. I duly appreciate the time. And then my concern is when you're talking about peace, and you talk about the strategies that we are to look at. You said the National Peace Council should come in to maybe try to talk to everyone. So my concern is on the clergy. Because looking at what is happening in Ghana now, it's like our clergy, you are part of them. They are to, in a way, they are to show us the way. They are to maybe tell us what to do. They are to preach peace. But what do we see in Ghana now? What we see is that it's like they are trying to divide ourselves within the political dynamics, whether MPP or NDC. Like most of the priests or most of the religious leaders are in a way endorsing like some of the flag bearers, which in a way it also doesn't speak well. Somebody within that church will be an MPP person or an NDC person. But if an MPP, let's say Bawumia, goes there, this person or the leader of that church try to endorse him, John Mama will also come, the same thing. So what are you trying to say? So you being, let's say, a religious man, trying to let us know some of the strategies with the National Peace Council, can you please also let the National Peace Council also try to call these religious leaders to order so that going forward, we can enjoy the peaceful election during and after 2024.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for the question. Let me quickly say that. So I made in my submission that, you see, the National Peace Council, it's usually put in place by the ruling government. Exactly. And not by all political parties or the major political parties. All right. Now, can we allow other political parties also to bring people in? And then they are groomed and made to understand that even though you are suggested by A, B, and C parties, This is the purpose of the of the council, to maintain peace. And to maintain peace, you have to be nonpartisan. Anyone who is not prepared to be nonpartisan should not be included or should be eliminated immediately. When you talk about ministers or pastors and etc. taking sides, it's very unfortunate. Elsewhere, they do it openly. But in our nation, Ghana, it doesn't help us because the nature, the cluster of the churches, all right, it brings division and misunderstanding in the churches. So I want to appeal to every religious leader, be careful, don't openly do this. Of course, you go into the ballot booth yourself and so know what to do, but you have members that are on various political parties. It doesn't make sense to stand out and declare to everybody that vote for this person or do this or that. You are dividing your church members and they won't be happy. So I appeal to people, and I've been doing this all along, that religious leaders, chiefs and etc. should be careful about their utterances. You cannot endorse one flag bearer because you are close to the person or they have made some promises to you. It is unacceptable. So when you are chosen to be in the Peace Council, people who are supposed to be in the Peace Council must understand this. Well, of course, you can't have all pastors and ministers in Ghana to have the same mentality. But when you have a Peace Council, the name Peace Council must totally be nonpartisan. And anybody who is not prepared to do that must not be included in that situation. But we are human. So sometimes you find people doing otherwise, and they must be called to book. Yeah, so that's what I would say. We cannot ask every pastor to do what I'm doing, but I will encourage, and then we will continue to preach and we'll continue to do with that. People should be careful how they endorse and promote other parties to the detriment of others. It's very serious. Right. Yeah.
Right. Thank you so much, Dr. Reverend Isaac Mills. God bless you so much for honoring our invitation and also coming to give us this amazing lecture. We are moving on to our next session on the agenda, and that is going to be our panel discussion. And the point of conversation is going to be on building bridges for a peaceful election. We are also honored to have important stakeholders on our panel, and it is going to be moderated by Mr. Selassie A. Mensah, who happens to be the Jagos Alumni Editor-in-Chief, the Inspire. So on the panel, we have an MPP parliamentary candidate.
Okay. I think Kwesi is frozen.
That's fine. My name is Selassie Aklocho Mensah, the Editor-in-Chief of the Jagos Inspires Alumni Network, and I'll take over from Kwesi Otin. And as he was saying, this panel discussion is going to focus on building bridges for a peaceful election. And as he was mentioning the names of the panelists we have invited today, we have an MPP parliamentary candidate for Jumakon Inyam Isiam constituency, Richard Kwesi Ituafo, PhD. We also have on the panel NDC parliamentary candidate and current MP for Medina constituency, Honorable Francis Xavier Sosu. We also have Comrade Kakraba, acting National President, United Nations Association Ghana, and Executive Director of Media and Public Affairs. And we also have on the panel our very own Professor Dr. Samuel Jacobs Abbey, Executive Director, Jacobs Abbey Global Institute for Leadership Studies. I know most of you know this person, so I'll just do a quick introduction of all the panelists before I go into the questions that we have. So our Honorable Mr. Rashid Ituafo, PhD, he is a water and wastewater treatment expert, an environmental consultant, He got his PhD from the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, Kumasi. He's also had other, his first degree there from the KNUST. He's also published other books on his in his field. I mean, formulation. One of his books or publications has to do with formulation of suppositories of alum produced from bauxite waste in Ghana for the treatment of hemorrhoid. And we also have another publication on treating waste with waste, the potential of synthesized alum from bauxite waste for treating car wash wastewater for reuse. He's also currently standing in this year's election for Ejumako constituency, and we wish him all the best in that. We also have Honorable Francis Xavier Kojo-Sosu for the NDC. He is the parliamentary candidate and also the current MP for Madina constituency. He passed students of St. John's Grammar Senior High School, got his BA Honors Sociology from the University of Ghana, also got his Bachelor of Law, LLB, from University of Ghana, went on to the Ghana School of Law to get his professional certificate in practice of law. He's had a very successful year where he has had other honors. Quickly, I want to check through one of the publications. He got the Outstanding Political Personality in Ghana by the National Golden Excellence Awards team in May 2024 this year for his impactful contributions to policy making and social justice. The same year, 2024, June, he was named the most outstanding African parliamentarian in human rights and advocacy, which underscored his significant role in legislative efforts aiming at upholding human dignity and equality across Africa. He's also been nominated by the Jacobs Abbey Global Institute of Leadership Studies and approved by the White House on Juneteenth. He's also going to pick an award, the U.S. Presidential Voluntary Service Award. Hopefully this year, November 2024, he will receive this award. This person has been an active member of parliament, and he is very, very, very strong in that regard. Our other panelist, who is Comrade Kakraba, is the executive assistant to the president of the Heritage Christian College, Amasamakra, also a lecturer in communication at the University of Heritage Christian College. He's also earning his PhD in business administration, communication, and media management from Open University of Malaysia. He holds a Master of Arts in journalism and mass communication from Sikkim Manipal University, India. He also has a bachelor's degree in English with linguistics from the University of Ghana. He's also two assistants there as well. He's been he's worked with the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation as a reporter, news anchor, editor, program producer, host, and commentator for 7 years, where he anchored many high-profile events. He was awarded Ghana's Best Journalist in Political Reporting in 2013 by the Ghana Journalists Association, and was a two-time finalist for the Best TV Male News Anchor in 2014 and 2015 at the Radio and Television Personality Award. He's also covered international conferences in Austria and in India. Myself, I have watched him a couple of times on TV and listened to him on radio so many times. This one I'm going to introduce, he needs no introduction. You know him as the Papa of the house, Professor Dr. Samuel Jacobs Abbey, Executive Director of Jacobs Abbey Global Institute of Leadership Studies. He served as the Programs Director for Sub-Saharan Africa Youth for Human Rights International. He is passionate for gender equality and the protection of children. And this has been evident throughout his career. You know, he's had other diplomatic services in the past. He has served as a consultant for YHRI, UNICEF, UNESCO, UNDP, UNV, Children of the Earth, One Humanity Institute, JCI, and among others. He's the chairman of the Board of Trustees for the African Girls Hope Foundation. He was a senior technical advisor for Girls Excellence Movement, a US-based nonprofit organization. Currently, he serves as a training specialist at FEMA, as the Federal Emergency Management Agency in the US, and also a professor of corporate governance at the Morris Brown College. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you our panelists for the second session. Can you please unmute and just give us a few words regarding what you've heard from Reverend Owu and your general impression about Ghana and the elections that we're about to enter? What have you seen? What have you felt so far? I'll start with Comrade, being a media personality. I want to hear from him first. Senior journalist, Comrade Kakaba, can you hear us, please? Can you hear me?
It's muted.
Okay. Until he comes on back, I'll go with Honorable Rashid Ituafo, parliamentary candidate for Jumakon. Boss, how has things started for you for this election? What have you seen? What are you expecting?
Hello.
Yeah, we
Yes,
can hear you.
I can hear you.
Good afternoon to my colleague participants. The year has been good, largely peaceful. My constituency has been one that has always since 2008 has been flagged as a hotspot, but it's been largely peaceful.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the few words. And Professor, you have been observing and following trends in Ghana from outside Ghana. What is your impression so far? What have you seen, and how do you feel about the things you have seen or heard?
Well, thank you. I mean, from afar, from Washington D.C., I merely have to deal with reading news articles, following social media, or the mainstream media in Ghana, just to be abreast of what is happening. What I have seen so far is that there is some level of engagement around the peaceful talks, but I also believe that there is over-promising, which always happens. And when we overpromise, then we're unable to hold ourselves accountable when we come to power. And I believe that those are the reasons why people with good intentions, unfortunately, ends up becoming bad politicians, because we want to say everything and anything in order to win the vote of the masses. And so that's what I have observed so far. Well, there are a few here and there, but there has not been any significant casualties. Maybe as we get closer, we'll begin to see some of these intolerable actions from people. And I believe that one of the reasons for these discussions on this platform is to urge everyone to understand that having a diverging view should not lead to conflict or unresolved problems and challenges. So yeah, I'm hoping.
Thank you so much. I can say that even though you are outside, you are following everything keenly. Honorable Francis Xavier Susu, it's on, but then we can't hear him. Can he please unmute and speak and say hi to us?
Hi. So Honorable Francis Xavier here. Let me say that it's such a pleasure being part of this engagement. I will be listening more, and then as and when I will be making contributions, because we're actually in the middle of a lot of campaign activities happening even right now. I had to just take a step back to come into the car so I can address you briefly before I go out there. But I will be paying attention closely, and then as and when my attention is needed, I will definitely would want to contribute. And just to say quickly that I think the observation of Professor is so right, because the landscape, the political landscape now in Ghana is very, very tense. And I can say without equivocation that there is a total lack of trust between the various stakeholders for each other. I mean, obviously, NDC doesn't trust MPP to do the right thing. MPP doesn't trust NDC to do the right thing. Unfortunately, it is the MPP that is in charge of the various national institutions that are supposed to be independent and impartial. Unfortunately, as we always say in law, that justice must not just be done, but must be seen to be manifestly done. Unfortunately, most often than not, how the conduct of those independent institutions lend credence to what I would say are sometimes mere rumors of their partiality or their approach that seeks to maybe favor the sitting government over opposition parties or over the opposition. So in my view, these are some of the issues that are running through the mind of people. I mean, the very popular and the most recent one is what is happening currently in Parliament, because what is happening in Parliament shouldn't be happening if our colleagues on the other side were simply to just allow consistency in application of the law.
Honorable.
So, yes. So
yeah, so we'll come to the integrity of those parliamentary activities.
All right. Yeah. So thank you. So I just want to just broadly state my views on this matter before maybe when you are looking for my attention and you are not getting, it may not be that actually I would have given off what my perspectives are as far as these matters are concerned. But I'm hoping that moving forward, once there is a consensus that we must be consistent, we must with our law in fair application of the law, impartial judiciary, impartial EC. Definitely, we should be able to have some harmony in this year's election.
Very good. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. And our brother, Comrade Kakraba, is on. Comrade, before you even come in and share your views of what you have observed, I want you to just tie in with my first question. You being Francis Xavier Susu, Honorable, just made a statement that there's a lack of trust. The lack of trust, for me, I think goes beyond even the political parties. It even goes further to the electorate. Lack of trust also, if you can also only agree with me, has also been evident in some parts of Sub-Saharan Africa, West Africa, where you've seen the decline of democracy, where other nations are going into the military rule and stuff like that. How do you think Ghana can leverage its relative peace to maintain its stability and serve as a beacon of democracy for the region while addressing some societal tensions with regards to free, fair, and peaceful elections?
Well, thank you very much, Selassie, and a very good afternoon to all of you, and thank you very much for the invitation. We are so privileged that the United Nations Association Ghana has been invited to be part of this engagement, and also on behalf of my TV station, Truth TV, we are very glad that we are also being heard in this particular engagement. Now, I'm very happy with the presentation by the Reverend Dr. Owu on what the general ideas are for us to be able to have peaceful engagement, and that's exactly what there needs to be. That is the fact that all political actors must be tolerant enough. I mean, it is not a contest of it's not a do or die affair. It shouldn't be seen as that, but that is how we have made it to look like. It is a contest of ideas, and the best ideas must win the day. And we think that as a people, we all the electorate also need to gravitate towards where we are telling our own leaders, our political actors, that if you're doing something that is untoward, that is unhealthy for the nation's democracy and the peace, we need to call them out. We need to speak to them. We need to let them understand that that is not what we want. I don't want to be in a country where leaders are showing bad examples, are misleading us, and are causing fear and mayhem. I want to be supportive of individuals who are championing the cause of peace and development. And no matter how good you are as a person, if your ideas cannot convince me, then I cannot help you, And so if you just want me to buy into you as a person and your bravado and your, all the display of strength and macho men and all of them, that is not what I want to be part of, or I know a group of people who we are leading, would want to be part of. And so I love the broad perspectives that he has laid forward, and then also the fact that the National Peace Council ought to also be seen as really playing its role in this regard. The Electoral Commission, as you have said, needs to also stand as a beacon of hope and of integrity and a trust, a place where we can all have trust in, and then we will not be, trying to understand whether there is some manipulation or otherwise. No. So I've observed elections. I've covered elections in Ghana, and we've seen a lot of things happening. We know that yes, we have not really discharged our duties, the various actors in the past, very optimally. And I think that in this year's election, we all need to be seen as doing that. Me, as part of media, because I manage a TV station as well, and I manage a team of journalists and all of that, videographers, social media communicators, and all of that. I also would love to tell my colleagues in the media that we are the fourth estate of the realm, and if we are not giving the platform for people to vent all these ills that we have spoken about, then they will not be heard by the people. But if we give our platforms to be, for them to be venting them out, then of course the people would, people are just very volatile, and if you just light a little much stick, it will just set whole forest on fire. And so these are my initial thoughts for now, and then I know we'll be getting into the details. Yeah, thank you.
I would now want to go to Honorable Richard Ituafo. Honorable, as a member of the current ruling party, things that have gone on so far, we have less than a month to elections. Have you seen certain things that are going to ensure free, fair elections for all of us?
Yeah, I think largely the electoral process has been, naturally, you have a few issues here and there, but it's been largely fair. Looking at the process, I think the elections are not, it's a process, it's not an event. So normally you may have one or two of those events going off, but largely I think that we are on course and it's been fair. What I would want to see a lot more is the Electoral Commission being a lot engaging, because once there are issues along the process, if the Electoral Commission is a lot more engaging, it tends to solve a lot of issues. But largely it's been fair. Largely I think it's been fair.
No, very good. I would want to go to Professor. Professor, you have worked in civil society for a very long time. How do you think the various agencies we have in this country can play a collective role to ensure that we are preserving our peace and strengthening democracy in Ghana?
Well, thank you very much for the question. And I think that, first of all, we need to have that understanding that it is one Ghana. Irrespective of the outcome, it is the same country you have. Just like you mentioned, I've had the privilege of traveling across the length and breadth of the African continent, almost all the 55 countries. And I can tell you that there are countries that no longer exist. They only exist in names because they did not take care of what they have. and individual differences have depleted the countries. Now, from my perspective, I strongly believe that once we strengthen our institutions, we are able to hold each other accountable. You overly hear me talk about accountability, because accountability is not micromanagement. They are two different things. And when people avail themselves to serve, we appreciate the servanthood in them. But we must also come to the place of understanding that we will hold you accountable for the responsibilities of the role that you play, because you are going to manage state assets. State assets does not belong to you. It is meant to help people come out of their situations. And this is where we need to focus and empower agencies. So institutions like the CDD, institutions like the Comrade institutions, institutions like IDEC and co, their primary role is to create high level of engagement and awareness, like what we are doing right now from the Jacob Sabe Global Institute for Leadership Studies. You know, what we are creating is that we are creating a platform where we can engage, because Conrad said it perfectly. Until we come to a place where we can engage and talk among ourselves, all our efforts will be meaningless, because at the end of the day, see, one of the things that we have to quickly understand is that in Africa, in most African countries, sociology will teach us that we are same people. We are intermarried. We doesn't care whether you are an Ashanti or you are an Ewe or you are a Liberian or a Sierra Leone. It doesn't really matter. What matters is that we are one people. But if we fail to own what we have, then unfortunately, what we're seeing in the media, I've been to Kenya, I've been to one of the largest refugee camps on earth. And I can tell you that no Ghanaian want to live in a refugee camp. Tell you, it is not a pleasant experience. When I was in Ghana, I actually was at the Bujibira camp every Sunday to equip the people there. It's not a pleasant experience. So my ask of all Ghanaians is that do as much as you can to uphold peace. It is
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Professor. And I think I'd like to reiterate some of your points where you said accountability is very crucial. In every situation or instance where there's irresponsibility, we must be held accountable. And I also like the fact that we say we must always learn to share our differences with open mind. We must learn to understand people from the perspectives that they are coming from. It's not a matter of life and death. I want to go to the candidate for Jumakum, the PC, Rashid Etwafu. Boss, I mean, if you look at Ghana currently and where you sit, what are some of the underlying tensions that could threaten our stability as Ghanaians or even across West Africa? And in what ways do you think we can address these issues? Is our brother Rashid Etwafu there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Very good. So I'm saying that if you look at Ghana currently, are there some underlying tensions that you think can really affect our peace, our stability, or probably even across West Africa? And what do you think can be done to address these issues?
One of the major issues that we should I mean, devoid of politics, should have our attention as a country is unemployment, and how that is getting the youth to abuse drugs. Realistically, it's the same youth that abuse those drugs that are used for all the violence and violence-related practices. So for me, I think that as leaders, as politicians, as people who are seeking to lead the country, one of the things that we should focus on is employment and employment-related issues. Because really, like you say, the devil finds job for the ideal hand. Once the young man is there, he's unemployed, and he needs some 50, 600 cities for some drugs. He will do anything and everything for sustenance. Which
Honorable, your line is dropping.
Violence, things that would challenge our peace and all that. And so I one of the things that it will have to catch our attention is how open. Hello. Hello.
I would not let you stand
heard?
in a very good position so that we can hear you clearly.
Yeah. So all I'm saying is that once you have unemployment on the high, you have young men being idle and have nothing doing, then it's going to be problematic. The next thing we have to look at is how open and fair our electoral system is. We are not doing bad, but we could do better. I am an advocate of we making sure that registration is an everyday thing. We don't have to wait and set a day or a week or a period aside where we say go and register. During those processes, we see the violence-related issues that come up. In my constituency, we've had to fight on registration days and arguing about minors and all those things. So for me, I think one of the things that should catch our attention when it comes to our elections is how open and progressive the process is. And then as a country, how we can handle and manage employment. Once we get these two things right, we should be fine. I mean, if the average Ghanaian is employed and is able to feed, I doubt that they would look the way of the politician or anything violence. So I think those are the two issues I would want us to focus on.
Very good. Unemployment and having continuous registration done for people. I'll throw that same question to my brother Conrad Kakraba to also touch on some things like that. What are some of the underlying things that you think can affect our stability and peace?
Right. There was one point that Doc mentioned when he was presenting, and that's about ethnic divisions. And that's a key aspect that we need to look at as a country. We as a people, we have a lot of ethnic lines and ethnocentrism, basically. And of course, it's good and very proper to feel good about your ethnic group and to love your people, to be very dedicated and committed to them. But it shouldn't be at the interest of denigrating the others. You know, I come from the Volta region. I'm in former Volta region. Now I'm from Oti region, you know, and my hometown is where Oti region begins. That is Sancho Kofi, part of the Sal, you know, the infamous or famous Sal. I don't know which of them. So Sancho Kofi, and so that's where I come from, and I bear an Efanti name, Kakraba. So because we are Guans, and people don't really know much about us, but we say we are the indigenes of Ghana, and that's what history tells us. And I'm married to an Ashanti woman. She's from Obuasi, and I also speak some little Ewe as well because I was from the Volta region, you know. So I have this kind of mixed kind of personality, and so people get really confused about me, and that should be normal. I'm a Ghanaian. That's basically the point I'm trying to make. You know, the fact that I have all these connections and all of that should make me a Ghanaian, and I should be very proud of my ethnic associations and all the people I'm connected with, where I'm married from, and all of that. And I shouldn't be seen as somebody who is denigrating anybody's ethnic, affiliation or tribe just for me to promote mine. No, many people don't even know where I come from because it's not going to be that evident for you. It's just because we want to make sure that we are seen as people who love our country, people who are very respectful of other tribes, people who stand for what is right, no matter who is involved. So I wouldn't say that because a Guan or somebody from Volta region or OT region is doing something that is wrong, and so I should just support them. No, I would make sure that I tell them right in their face that this is not right, you know. And I don't mean it's also not true that because I'm from that part of the country, and so anybody that is seen from the other side or any political party that is seen from the other side, you know, then I start speaking against them or doing things against them. No. So we should raise ourselves to that standard where we are able to stand above all these kind of divisions and be able to champion the national interest. And for me, that is critical, and that's one of the tensions that we need to diffuse as a people in order to have peaceful elections in this country.
Awesome, and thank you. I think you have captured this so succinctly. And I'll move on to my honorable from Madina constituency. Honorable, are you there? Francis Zivesusu, honorable, are you there, please? Very well. Even if it's not there, I'll move on to his opponent from the, not his opponent per se, but his other colleague from the other party. I would say, Honorable Rashid, are you there?
I think they are all campaigning, so they are.
All right.
That's very true.
All right. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. So I'll go to Professor. Professor, I think because of your experience traveling across countries and what you've observed, how can we make our electoral processes more inclusive, you know, to help us maintain the stability that we want and ensuring that all communities are represented properly and all voices are heard in our electoral processes?
Well, I like the fact that you ended with the word process. So, see, electoral commission should be an institutional work. And anybody who knows me knows that I'm a strong advocate of institutionalism. Because the reason why most people compare us and try to figure out why is the US and other developed nations doing so well when it comes to management of state assets and institutions. It is because the institutions are empowered, and that's all that matters. Once the institutions are empowered, they make room, just as Dr. Owu said, it makes room for diverging views. For instance, the Electoral Commission is established by an act of parliament, and it is meant to be free, fair, and take any iota of doubt from the minds of the people. So it is expected that the electoral commissioner and the people at the realms or the management of the electoral commission should not be seen talking to opposition leaders or not be seen as talking to presidential or incumbent government, whatever. They can even be relations, but we have to understand conflict of interest. Even in the secular corporate world, you will appreciate the fact that a man and a wife are not allowed to be in the same department. There is a reason. the mere conflict of interest alone is enough to create a certain doubt for the people. So my perspective has always been, we should invest as much as possible into the Electoral Commission. Now, you will realize that until Afarijan left, he maintained a high integrity as far as Electoral Commission process in Ghana was involved. Was he perfect? Absolutely not. Did he have his own flaws? Oh, yes. But there was some level of integrity that he brought to the scene. You know, even in universities and professional institutions, when you are appointed as electoral commissioner to oversee election, what do we call ourselves? I'm the Farijan for the moment. Only when people perceive you to be credible that they adapt your style. So I think that the Electoral Commission must use all its resources to show some level of independence. Now, how can you be much independent? By engaging, like Comrade said, No, let's bring political institutions together. Let's bring civil society organizations together. Let's bring, I recall many years back, I was in Kumasi with the CDD and IDEC engaging people about elections. And we're working on behalf of both the Electoral Commission and the civil society community. The whole idea is to create some level of strength and support for our people. But because
Awesome.
if we appear to be compromised, all our effort will go down the drain. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think whilst our other panelists are off, I would want to pull in Reverend Isaac Muso, if that's fine with you.
Good move.
That's okay.
Thank you. Yeah, so but before I come to you, I'll first of all push this question to Conrad Kakraba. Can you please just speak on peaceful and free and fair elections? Are they the same thing? Can you have a peaceful election and have a not free and fair election? Or can you have a free and fair election and still have a peaceful election?
Well, I'm not an electoral expert, and so I may not be able to give you all those terminologies breakdown. But what we know from our media perspective is that when you say something is peaceful, then it means it's non-violent. Non-violent, as in we're able to take out elements that would cause trouble and make sure that we all feel safe. Nobody is insecure. Nobody's been intimidated. Nobody is feeling that, okay, I'm doing this, and then the security people are undermining the process or something like that. So peace generally, and also from the UN perspective, we are also ensuring that we create the atmosphere, first of all, the atmosphere that all elements must work together in order to ensure that everybody feels safe to go and exercise or even speak about their policies and all of that. Nobody should be gagged. So the media, for example, should not be gagged. We should not be prevented from speaking our minds on issues once we are within the remits of what is right. And also political actors should also not be intimidated by any incumbent government, or any opposition strongholds and that sort of thing. So people should be they should feel safe, free to go and then do what they have to do politically. That is one thing that we know. Then when it comes to transparency, transparent election, we are talking about the fact that yes, all of us should know that what the outcome and the processes, as Dr. Jacob said, it's a process. The electoral system is a process. We should all believe that whole process is devoid of any manipulation from an individual or an institution or some group of people. So everybody should see it as very clean. Now, fairness is about the fact that, of course, there is this inclusive nature of the election. All the political parties, like, we have the IPAC, when they go there, or the role they're supposed to play, they play it with that inclusivity in mind, so that everybody understands that the processes they've outlined have the backing and the buy-in of all political parties. And also on the day of the election, we should ensure that there is nobody that is cheated on that day.
Very good.
We have situations where we have people voting and then their votes are not counted at the end of the day. So when you put all these things together, then you can say we have a peaceful, transparent, free, and then fair elections. And that's what
awesome.
I would say.
Awesome. Thank you. So Rev, I'll still push the same question to you. However, I would say, what is the relationship between a peaceful, free, and fair elections? What's the relationship?
What I would say is that because most Ghanaians are afraid of blood, even when it's not free, people just shut their mouth and go into their rooms, but they are not happy. okay, we need to have a system where people know that there hasn't been any dubious thing going on, so that this transparency that our brother talked about is there. And people understand that I'm free to do what I am. No intimidation whatsoever. Because this idea of election is a do or die affair, it is not. I mean, we all have been given wisdom to rule the land. And so if somebody gets the opportunity, let me support the person with what I have, instead of thinking that I'm the only person who can do everything for Ghana. None of us has that capacity. So it is the people who choose us to lead. And so when one party comes, doesn't want to even engage any other people from the opposing party, it's totally unacceptable, because you have very good meaning in other parties. But what happens is that when I bring you into my party, all right, you're coming to undermine me. So there's that fear, all right, of bringing others. But it means that we are actually not helping our system. We are not helping the land by thinking that one party wins and then takes it all, which is it's not acceptable. So peace may be said peace, but all we need is that the satisfaction for us to have that we have had a credible election, and nobody goes complaining.
Very good, very good. So our Honorable says he's happy to share his views through text. So Honorable, if you can hear me, I would love for you to share with us how you think we can make our electoral processes inclusive and representative of the people who play an active role in the whole electoral process. Now, I would go back to Professor. Prof, Ghana being the first African country to attain independence, we have had that kind of privilege for a very long time. Should we take our peace for granted? And how do we present ourselves in West Africa?
Good question. I thought that we have taken our peace for granted for a long time. Just to reiterate what Dr. Awu said, it is because of our personality and our perception of conflict that has sustained the peace that we've had. We've taken our peace for granted, because you know why? For you to know whether or not we've taken our peace for granted for a while, see the way we talk to each other. Let's take the most important institution in Ghana now, for example, Parliament. How do parliamentarians talk to themselves? The fact that we disagree on policy shouldn't mean that we should talk to each other anyhow. We teach our children and our families and our friends to be respectful to each other, irrespective of our diverging views. And so I believe that when we become overly emotional of a thing, then we want to fight for our institutions. But I always say, like whenever I'm talking to pastors, I tell them that you can't fight for God. God is too big. You can't fight for God. Focus on the purpose and the mission for which you are called, and leave the rest for God. The same thing applies to our institutions and also to our parliament. Look, you are there to champion a cause. Agreeing to disagreeing is part of the process. Let's focus on that and let's do exactly what we are called to do. So again, yes, we are also very fortunate that because we've been sitting on the time bomb for a while. You know, you see what is happening in Mali. We saw what happened in Niger. We saw Burkina Faso. We saw what happened in Liberia. We saw what happened in Ivory Coast. You know, so we are surrounded by conflict. And I strongly believe that, again, to Comrade's point, it's because we are multinational people, we've been able to manage in such a way that it has not escalated to killing ourselves. We saw few happening in the northern part of Ghana. It may not necessarily be over elections, but through misunderstanding, it tells you how people be. Listen, I was a United Nations deployed employee to Sierra Leone during the war. I mean, most of my friends here on the platform saw what happened in Sierra Leone during the war. I was with Amil in Liberia. We saw what happened there. These are not pleasant experiences that we want to be part of. And so my ask to all Ghanaians is that peace is not free. It takes a lot of dedication. It takes a lot of sacrifices. It takes a lot of compromises in order for it to be sustained. But for how long can you sustain it? It depends on how much of effort we put in place. Suppressing people will, because when you suppress people, naturally, they will revolt. It's just like having an animal and suppressing the animal for a while. It gets to a point where they can no longer tolerate the suppression. So they want to voice out. The same thing happens to humans. We should try as much as possible to allow people to vent, speak, and more importantly, before I end my thoughts, our court systems. Listen, there's a reason why we have division or separation of powers. Our court system should be seen as independent as possible so that when the other sectors of our nations get disputes, they should trust our court system to be fair, to pass judgment that each and every one could accept. Because once our court system becomes compromised, that is the beginning and the end of the nations. Because all the countries that we've seen across the world fighting, it is because they can no longer trust the judicial system to be independent. So what is the point of going to court when I know I have a valid case, but yet I know I will not win because I don't have what it takes? So that is where we are. And I think that I will end here.
That is very, should I say, touching points you have raised. And I remember in 2008 when former President Barack Obama came to Ghana, when he was leaving at the airport, one thing he said was that Ghana must build institutions, and we don't need strong men or macho men. We need strong institutions. So I've seen that throughout our conversations, institutions have run through, and it's a great point we are all raising. I'll come back to Rev again. Rev, what should we learn from countries that have reversed or gone back to military rule or autocratic rule? What should we learn from such countries in Ghana?
Thank you very much, Selassie. We have observed that going back to military rule is not a solution to the problem of the land. One, most of those who have taken over the countries, the race of the countries, have done their best, but have not involved the brains in the land to develop the nation. And so it has been like some personal issues, all right, that have gone on. They've gone for a long time, and then everything is derailed. And then we come back to square one. So I believe that, as has been said, we don't need to we should just allow people to air their views and be listened to and respected that they are part of the land, and so they have every right to contribute. It's this selfish way of leadership that is killing our nations. Okay, I mean, we have other big nations where the court system has also been biased. We can't have that in Ghana, you know, and if it continues like this, we will not develop. And that is the sad era that we are going to be in. So I think that we need to learn our lesson. It's not good going back to military or going back to those things, but we have this political system, this democracy must be allowed to operate. We want to operate democracy, but we don't want to respect one another and accept the values that other people bring into leadership. Okay, when you don't know, you don't know.
Yes.
Okay, and then, yes, I mean, that's what I would say, but we need to respect people and their views. Some have learned political science, they have all the ideas, but because they don't have financial backing and somebody to push them, they can't bring it out. Nobody's listening to them.
That's unfortunate. Very unfortunate.
If I'll add this quickly to
Please
what Reverend said. Absolutely to agree 100%. Listen, Ghana has been under several military rules, and probably most of the people in this dispensation are young So they have not experienced what our fathers and grandfathers and grandmothers experienced under military regime. And sometimes the problem is that when we have democracy and we have peace, we think that it is cheap. And so when we look at the northern part and the eastern and the western part of Africa, and we look at the Malis and the Burkina Faso, and we see these military juntas take over, we consider them to be strong men.
Yes.
But the problem is that irrespective of how they appeal to you, you can never replace a democratic process with a military junta. I'm telling you, your fundamental rights are taken from you from the word go.
Yes.
One military institution. Look, I was a great fan of Captain Thomas Sankara. You know, I was a great fan of Samora Machel and all that. But trust me, people will tell you their fundamental rights were all taken away from them because of the military presence. When they come to power, they suspend the constitution. So
yes.
If the constitution is suspended, there's no fundamental rights. You can't say anything. You know, so it's very important for us to pay attention to some of these things, and I wanted to chip in that really fast. Thank you.
Thank you so much for raising these points. Myself, I've been a supporter and a fan of some of the military rulers we have now, like the young man in Burkina Faso. But I also look beyond the aesthetics, the beauty of what people are promoting. And see, if you go down there, people are struggling and they can't solve all the problems, honestly. So they shouldn't be portrayed as though they have all the solutions to the problems we have. Now, I want to go to my senior comrade, Conrad Kakraba. I've realized that in our conversations, we have always asked that people should be given the room to voice out their concerns, to share their opinions and all that. When we see people go on the street and demonstrate, should we take that as a way of sharing your concerns? Or should we see that in a bad light?
Okay. Well, thank you very much for that. So the right to protest is one fundamental right that is enshrined in our constitution and also in the UN declarations and all of that. The fact that, I mean, if I don't like something, I need to let you know that I don't like it. And one of the ways to do that is to do a protest. And of course, we are talking about peaceful protest here, not creating violence as a result of trying to express your grievances with a particular situation. I was in Kenya just a week or two before their protests, you know, just last, I think in June or so. Yeah. And I was happy that at least I had left the country before that started, you know. Yeah. And of course, we all hailed the outcomes of their protests, the things that, you know, they were able to achieve as a result of the fact that they went onto the streets. But to the extent of all the demonstration, the violence, and then all the demolitions and all of that, I mean, we wouldn't support that. We would love protests to happen, but not to create a sense of a state of emergency, and that is not right. We would love to have people to express their grievances with any situation by having a peaceful walk. I mean, if the Catholic Church, for example, I really commended them recently, you know, on how they went about it, you see. And so everybody, I mean, you would see that they were just the police, the security agencies were just they had a field day that day because there was nothing to control really, you know. But they made a strong statement as an institution that yes, we do not like what is happening when it comes to Galamsey, but we will protest about it in a very peaceful manner, and we love that. And so we shouldn't deny anybody the right to protest. Also, I was also in the heat of the election petition 2020. How do you call it? Is it 2012? Yeah, 2012.
Yeah, 2012.
You know, I was the lead anchor for Ghana Broadcasting Corporation that particular time. And I was the only journalist in Ghana that was allowed access into the Chief Justice's courtroom to report live all TV and radio stations to see, for about 4 into that particular 8-month coverage. And I was so overwhelmed because it showed us the tension in the country, but the tension that was well managed, because as a journalist, standing in between all these big wigs, and still trying to make sure that you are getting the views of each one of them out in a very decorous manner. It wasn't easy at all. Some journalists were brought to the Supreme Court and were, sanctioned because they weren't doing it right. And so we, as the state of the realm, when we allow our media houses, as I mentioned earlier on, to be used as a place for protest, we should do it in such a way that we do not end up injuring the peace again, or the situation, or others. And so we need to ensure that whatever we are doing as a people, we are allowing dissent. We are allowing people to disagree with us, but we should disagree in a very cordial, courteous manner. Yeah.
Very good. I see Honorable Francis back. Thank you for coming on. Just quickly, if you can, is he gone off again?
I can hear you.
I'm on.
Okay. Yes. So I want to pose this question to you. I know you being in the opposition. Please, whoever it is, can you please mute your mic? You being in the opposition, you have you feel a lot of the should I say the pressure sometimes. How do you think we can create a situation where everybody's voice is heard, the inclusivity is well established, where we are addressing critical issues, we are maintaining our stability as a country?
Well, thank you for that question. And let me quickly address an earlier question you had posed through the message, which I hadn't responded to before I came back online fully. Whether we really have peace in Ghana today. I think that I listened carefully to Prof. And then Reverend also, and I've listened to Conrad also, and just want to say that, peace is not necessarily the absence of violence. So the fact that people are not out there causing violence and all that does not mean that we actually have peace. I would say that, and on that score, I agree with many of the contributors already, that Ghana is actually is sitting on a time bomb, right? Any little thing can trigger a very, very serious violence in the country. And that is the more reason why it can be when institutions of state that are supposed to be impartial arbiters to be seen to be taking sides, and so from what I do, the fact that when I go to the ground and I'm with grassroots people, ordinary Ghanaians, and you hear them talk, you see that there's a lot of anger in people. If you sit in trotro, you sit in taxi, you listen to, you go to ghettos and you hear the boys, some of the girls talk. You see that people speak with a lot of pain in their hearts. And it's a pain against, the established system, like the established political system. It's not necessarily a pain against NDC or MPP. It's a pain against the system, that the system has failed. The kind of democracy we have now has actually failed to meet their needs. And the only reason why the MPP may get a more bashing is because they form the current ruling government. So when things are bad, unfortunately, you have to take responsibility of it. So unfortunately, there's nobody else we can hold accountable, right? But what happens, what I've seen is that when people are venting out this anger, there are several ways this anger can be can be vented out. One of them would be what we saw the Catholic priests do. They call it prayer march. But also, when you see what the Democracy Hub did, it's also one of the ways. Because you see, protest is a protest. Protest means that you want to register something in the mind of the state that this is the reason why, I'm doing what I'm doing. So, people may go a little bit overboard during protests and so on and so forth. In fact, that is the reason why we have the Public Order Act that allows the police to be part of the protest, so that when people are going overboard, the police simply brings them in line. But where the attitude of even the police as an institution is as though you are just repressing people, so that even when there are protesters standing and who have not participated in any hooliganism, you can actually surround them and arrest them together. It means that you actually are suppressing the voice of dissent. And you are suppressing people who are out there voicing out what their frustrations are. And when that happens, then you deepen the mistrust between the governed and then those governing, right? So essentially, by my own assessment, I don't think that Ghana is really peaceful now. It's not. It's really dangerous. Let me tell you on authority, and this is me talking, that even after parliamentary proceedings the last time, there were unanimous calls to me not to even stay in my own house. That's how bad it is. Don't tonight. Don't live at your place. You see, so it's not that peaceful. So if we just decorate it and make it look like, oh, everything is okay, it is fine. One of these days, you will see that it will just collapse on all of us. The truth is that all is not well, and all is not well because the institutions, the independent institutions that are supposed to be protecting the people, are now taking sides with the executive and rather violating the people.
Honorable, I think your point is well made with this issue. I think you've made it clear that things are not well. And I'll now move over to Reverend, who will give us a spiritual point to this. Reverend, what should we do to make things well?
Reverend, you are muted.
Thank you very much, Selassie. Yes, we are sitting on a time bomb. We will all agree to that. Just because we don't listen. And if we don't listen to the grievances of people, and we feel that we are paving a road, the accounts will say, yes, because it is the people who will vent to say that we are not happy about this or that. And so if you don't give them the opportunity to speak, or why do people go and protest? Because they are finding ways to talk and nobody is listening. Nobody is taking their view. And I'm not only saying this for this government, but successive government that has come to the scene, we have the same problem. And why do we have that? Why can't we have human beings, Ghanaians in this particular area, who want to say that, look, even though I am in this party, my brother, my co-brother, or my biological sister or mother is in the other one. So we must do things to let people do that. So love your neighbor as yourself is the golden rule that Jesus gave us. And so long as we will fail to do that and think that when we are in power, then we have the right to do whatever we like, it will never going to give us the peace that we need. And if you lose an election, it doesn't mean that is the end of your life. But people come to election, people want to come to power because of what they think they want to get and not what they do for the nation. That is my personal observation. And I think that we need to face that. Apart from that, there are people, honest people, who really want to work for the nation. And yet some of them don't even get the opportunity. And when they get the opportunity, other rank and file people are destroying the view or the goals that they have. All right, and makes the person look bad. So we have a multifaceted problem in the nation. But I believe that as the more we talk and the more we discuss issues, especially bringing the political and the flag bearers together to sit down and talk and just debrief and reason together, not campaigning. But let's see what we can do as leaders of the political parties, all right? And not just speaking for your own party. But let's see what we can do for Ghana. If we can achieve this, I believe we'll go a long way. The key, love your neighbor as yourself.
Thank you so much, Rev. Thank you so much, Rev. Now I'll go to Conrad Kakraba to speak on the fact that, do you see, from where you sit as a United Nations rep in Ghana, do you foresee any external influences in our party politics, and which is going to disrupt our stability? Maybe also add how you think we can address some of these issues.
Right. Thank you very much. Now, political influences, I mean, external influences in our politics will always exist because we are not an island, and we are in a committee of nations. And so people are interested in us. We are also interested in others. And so whatever happens here, there are a lot of people who are interested in what is going on, because there are commercial interests, there are political interests, there are economic and foreign relations interests, and personal interests, a whole lot. And so people are interested in what is going on in Ghana. And especially as we have also held that status as a beacon of hope in the sub-region, we are a key player that people are watching. And whatever happens in Ghana can also trigger to other countries in Africa, West Africa sub-region as well. And so there are influences. There are people who are interested in sponsoring political parties and people to do certain things. And we are also observing the fact that, you know, the internet and this globalization also has played a key role in our elections. And so just as how it was the case in other countries where there are people who are either supporting certain candidates, and therefore they would create a feeling, you know, around them on the cyberspace. It's the same in Ghana as well. People will help others to look in a certain way online, and so they may not be from Ghana, they may not be our own people, but they have interests, and online they would ensure that they are really creating a certain kind of impression. There are people who also would put out polls, you know, polls of people who are going to win or those who are leading and all of that, and, you know, just to create a certain impression as well. And so all these things, there are people who are also funding, you know, various actors, and even our own, you know, electoral commission also has some kind of support from donor agencies and all of that. And so if you put all of these things together, we are not just the people on our own. There are people who are interested in what is going on. As to how they will actually promote those interests or make sure that these interests come out, that is something that would be seen in different ways. But we as a people, what we can do is that we can ensure that, yes, we have to still own our independence. We still have to tell people that, yes, we are our own people. We decide what happens here. We are the ones who are the kingmakers. We want to make sure that whoever is leading us is our own making and not from any external influences. So basically, that's what I would say regarding this.
Thank you so much for that. And I really like the fact that you added a social media bit to it. We are living in a world today where people can always create misleading content, you know, to influence people's perspectives and the perception when it comes to elections. So thank you so much for stating that. I'll come to Prof now. Prof, how do you think Ghana can use this election to make a statement, you know, against the trend of military rule in West Africa?
Well, we have been making statements since 1992, and we've had different views. We've had conflicts. We've used our court system to make judgments. We've used commissioning set up by councils to talk through. We've used the pink sheet to make cases. So over the years, we've made a lot of statements. And I think that we should continue making statements. But statements are not just enough, just as Honorable Francis Xavier Sosu said. Statements are not just enough, because we will continue to enjoy the perception of peace until something triggers conflict. And then all the years of hard work will be eroded. So what we need to do is to continue to talk. I believe in talking, trust me. Continue to talk, continue to strengthen the institutions so that if people want to go on a protest, peaceful protest, the police will be empowered enough to be able to protect them and not get into their way. If students want to go on the protest, they should be able to do it without they being expelled from school, meaning that they should be able to protest in such a way, a manner that is in conformity with the school guidelines and policies. It is when we become distracted and we are coerced to believe that we can fight for our parties, because at the end of the day, I always like to remind individuals that if you fight in the name of parties, and we've seen people fought many fights on behalf of parties, and they are dead and gone, and we are still alive and we are enjoying our lives, and the party is still there. Trust me, they'll mourn for you for 3 days. When your casket is lowered into the grave and we come home by our tradition and wash our hands, nobody talks about you again.
Yes.
You're alive stupidly. So I want to encourage everyone that as we continue to go through this electoral process, and one thing I also want to bring quickly, I know time is almost up now, but one thing I want to mention quickly, Selassie, here is that we should stop comparing ourselves to the United States of America and other democracies. They've been around for 200 years, 300 years. We are still under the 1992 Constitution, for God's sake. So we should understand that if you go back and read the history, the civil history of America, what we are going through is nothing. They've gone through civil wars. They've gone through many things until where they are today. We will get there. We just have to be patient, tolerable, and understand that it's a process, and every effort, every win adds on to the whole process, and that is how we become better. No individual party is greater than Ghana. It does, like Honorable Sosu said, it doesn't matter whether it is NDC, it doesn't matter whether it's MPP, it doesn't matter whether it's any other party. At the end of the day, when the election is set and done, don't we work in the same ministries and government offices?
Exactly.
So now you are NDC or MPP. At the end of the day, we expect you to be able to get work and take care of your families. That is more important than that process. That process is a period. So let's dedicate ourselves. And I want to encourage everyone, in case you don't call me again, we run up. I want to tell everyone that make sure you verify to make sure that your name is on the registration list. Make sure you cast your vote. It doesn't matter who you vote for. Cast your vote, because the most important thing is that you are actually contributing to the process. And that is all. Thank you.
Prof, I think that is awesome how you ended it. But we've said so much about how Ghana, we are on a time bomb and all that. Is Honorable Sosu on the call?
Yes, he's there.
Okay, Honorable, if you can hear me, can you please unmute? Oh, I want to get Honorable's take on this before we end this call. Anyway, so all the talk is done, but I want to take from each and every one. I'll start with Conrad Kakraba, senior comrade. What do you like about Ghana?
Hey, what a question. This one is a PhD question. What do I like about Ghana? I like everything about Ghana, that's all. And no, but seriously, I mean, well, I love the fact that at least since I was born in '85. Uh, since I grew up, I mean, I've not really seen what has been described in other countries, of course. So the military years is just 5 of those years that I lived, but and I didn't really witness it because I was too young to know. But at least what I've seen growing up, I am happy that at least we are making some strides that are commendable. But the issue is about the fact that we should still keep in mind that we have a fragile democracy, as Prof just mentioned, and the fact that we are still working things out to see how best we can make it very good and a model for the other countries in Africa. And I also like the fact that we, as a people, we are not indifferent. We are very active. We take some kind of concern when it comes to what is happening around us, and I love it that we are all stakeholders and we are actively participating and having fora like this to be able to talk about what we can do and to educate the masses. And I really love the fact also that we, the media, have also grown, over the years. We have learned a lot, from the mistakes that we have made, and because media is one of those that can really set the country on fire, like in Rwanda's case. And so I love the fact that we are growing. We are getting many people who are managing the media that are a bit more enlightened now and have also seen what has happened elsewhere and can easily control people who are getting wayward. And so these are the things that I would say that I'm happy about Ghana.
Very good. I'll move this same question to Reverend Isaac. Please tell us, what do you like about Ghana? Your mic is mute, please. Kindly unmute.
What I like about Ghana is that Ghana has great opportunities.
Yes.
To make inroads economically, personnel development, and our resources are just amazing. The only thing is that we are not making use of these giftings that God has given us. And we are messing things around. Okay, and that is the painful aspect. But I like Ghana because we have great opportunities to show the world and to show other people that we can do what we want to do. Yes. And that is Ghana. All right, yes. Ghana is great. Ghana is resourceful. All right, and we need to put our brains together and forget about and leave this selfish mentality that each one of us want to have when we get the opportunity to rule. Make use of the other brothers and sisters because Ghana is a great nation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for Professor. I know you are not in Ghana currently, but I know you still miss Ghana. What do you like about Ghana?
Well, I mean, I love Ghana, trust me. And I love Ghana because from the diplomatic standpoint, I look at the stride that Ghana is making at the international front. Whether you like it or not, we have folks like His Excellency, the late Kofi Annan, who put Ghana on the spotlight big time. We have Dr. Eben Chambers making big stride. We have Dr. Kospio Gabra. All these people, they actually put Ghana on the map. And just recently, Shelley Ayokobotri has also been elected the General Secretary of the Commonwealth. These are big things that the world, last 2 years or so, I remember at the United Nations during the elections of the individuals to the UN court when Dr. Mensah Bonsu lost. I almost cried my heart out. But the fact of the matter is that we are perceived to not only be intellectually great, but we also offer our contribution to the world. And that is the whole reason why I personally want to ask each and every Ghanaian, love your country, protect your country, participate in the process, and do not allow yourself to be coerced and used by politicians to achieve their selfish ambitions. You know, when something is wrong, it is wrong. It doesn't matter whether it's NDC or it's MPP. It doesn't matter if it is wrong, it is wrong. And I'll end by saying that we always tend to judge ourselves based on our intentions. People will always judge us based on our actions. So it is very, very important that your action at the end of the day is what people are going to walk away with and not your intentions, because your intentions are in your head. We don't know what you intend to do, but well, this is what you did, and we'll hold you accountable. That. Thank you so much. Wonderful.
Thank you so much, Professor. Thank you so much, Reverend Dr. Miles O. Thank you so much, Conrad Kakraba. Thank you so much, Honorable Francis Xavier Sosu. Thank you so much, MPP candidate for Jumakun, for your insightful comments, your invaluable time. One thing that I would say, or I will end with, is that always choose your best self at every instance. Don't choose your worst self. Love Ghana. This wouldn't end here. As we move into our breakout rooms, let's continue these conversations in our breakout rooms, and we'll come back and we'll say thank you to all of you for staying with us. Over to you, Kwesi Oting.
Awesome. I don't see Kwesi yet. Maybe it's he's there. Kwesi, can you speak? It looks like we can hear you. All right, for want of time, I will say that we will go into breakout rooms to discuss this whole thing for about 30 minutes, and we'll come back and we are done. Thank you guys for staying on. It's been a wonderful conversation. And so the breakout room is open. Choose a room that you want to join, and then we can have some good conversation right there. So the breakout is open. Please choose a room that you prefer to be in, and we will have those conversations right there. All right, so let's click on join, and then we can join to our discussion groups, and the facilitators are there to make sure we are all set.
All right. So thank you so much. It's been an amazing evening. God bless all our facilitators, moderators, our keynote speaker, and all the conversations we've had. It's just been amazing. So just a few points, and then we will wrap up our summit. There are some key points that our keynote speaker highlighted. I would reiterate them. So one of the things he said was, no one ordained political party should be declared as winners of every election. Like, there shouldn't be that entitlement. And secondly, it should be very responsible on the part of religious and STEM bodies to make such declarations. And he also suggested that the data and the research that is available should be compiled and used as continuous education to help foster our political landscape in the country. And then flag bearers should be made to speak on mechanisms to ensure peace whenever we are approaching elections, so that everybody would take a responsibility. We are supposed to prevent use of foul and loose languages that often than not arouses anger in people. And also the National Peace Council should be totally non-partisan. Their constitution should be made by all, not a specific political party constituting the National Peace Council, and also supports and sustenance of election peace organizations. So he has educated us that it should be financed by all major political parties, so that these individuals may have the integrity to practice without fear and intimidation as well. And that the political parties and all these institutions should be willing to listen to constructive criticism to help foster the peace dynamic that we have in the country. And also the NCCE should facilitate all needed engagements with concerned stakeholders and should be done by fairness. And that was a critical, and I think those of us who went to the media breakout room, we've had a very deep conversation on that. And also the role of the media. The media should avoid sensationalization of issues. People want to drop the news quick. Other people also desire for fame, and so they do not do double check, and among others. And the EC must report correctly to counter sensational news that are put out by other outlets. And also, state funds must be made available for training and monitoring so that we can have, as we said before, transparent and collective, free and fair elections in the country. We should desist from making tribal abuses and also using irresponsible jargons like "all die be die" and "Matthew foot by foot" and among others. And the national security must act on these actions to ensure that the peace that we have in the country is safeguarded. So as we conclude the summit, we express our sincere gratitude to all participants for their insightful contribution and unwavering commitment to peace. We have engaged in a meaningful dialogue. We shared diverse perspectives. We have explored innovative solutions for a more peaceful world. And we believe that as Ghana approaches their elections in the next 2 months, we'll be able to uphold the peace that we enjoy and also deepen the unity and cooperation that we have in the country. Let us carry the spirits of cooperation and understanding beyond this event. By working together, we can build a future where peace, harmony, and justice prevail. Thank you once again, and may peace be with us all. We are really grateful for this event. Thank you so much.
Welcome. Thank you for inviting us. Bye-bye then.
Thank you too.
Thank you. God bless everyone. Thank you.
Yeah.